Welcome to Tech Trove. The iPhone 15s are just around the corner. We're expecting them to launch the new 15 Plus Pro and Pro Max around September 12th or 13th, and then launching a couple of weeks later at the end of September, and the rumours are coming in thick and fast. But obviously nothing's been confirmed yet. It's all speculation, so take everything with a pinch of salt. But here's what we know so far, and if you do enjoy this little bit of reckless speculation then, a like and subscribe would be lovely. So same as this year, there will be 4 new phones, and let's start with the 2 Pro models, as they're likely to get the lion's share of the upgrades this year. And first up, thinner bezels. We're expecting the new iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max to have around 30 thinner bezels around the edge of the screen, down from 2.2 millimeters on the Pro 14 to just 1.5. which would make it the thinnest bezels on any smartphone ever. And apparently, Apple will use the same over-molding technique that they used with the recent Apple Watches on the iPhone, so they can shrink the bezels, and I would definitely appreciate that, particularly with the 6.7-inch Pro Max. It is a big phone, and if they can shrink the bezels a little bit, make the overall footprint a little bit smaller, particularly on the width, I would definitely appreciate that. So they're most likely going to stick with the same 6.1 and 6.7-inch screen sizes, just with a slightly smaller footprint, sticking with the Pro and Pro Max Apples, also rumoured to switch out this stainless steel material for the band, the frame around the edge of the phone to titanium, on the new 15 series of what the Pro and Pro Max, whereas the standard iPhone 15s will still be aluminum like the co-models, but the idea is using titanium like we see on the Apple Watch. Ultra should be more durable, a little bit lighter, and also hopefully a bit less fingerprinting. Okay, finally, USB-C, no more lightning cables we think, and that's, I think, largely down to the EU regulations kind of forcing Apple to do it. But the idea is we're no longer going to have lightning ports on the iPhone 15 series across the board for the regular ones and the Pros, which is great, because pretty much every other device in the world does support USB-C, so no longer. It will be one charger for iPhones and one charger for everything else. And of course, MacBooks and iPads already support USB-C. The downside is you're going to have people have to buy new chargers and lots of new accessories. I've got my very fancy Tech Chat branded AirPod Pro 2S here. And of course, these still use Lightning, so until Apple refresh all their devices and all their accessories to USB-C, we may basically have a bit of a transition year where you'll still have to bring a Lightning cable, even if the new 15s are USB-C. It's hard to know if we will get faster wired transfer speeds and charging. Although there's a chance the Pros will get USB-C 3.2, possibly with Thunderbolt 3 or 4 speed. But we'll have to wait and see next up new chips. And the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max are expected to have Apple's brand, new A17 Bionic chip, which is built on a 3nm architecture, a little bit smaller than the 4nm in the A16, which we'll still have in the regular 15 and 15 Plus. So just like the current 4 teams, the regular non-Pro phones will basically get last year's chip in them, which is still an upgrade, but a generation behind the Pro models. The problem is these chips are already so incredibly capable that we don't really see that much difference in performance year on year. So I'm hoping the new chip can unlock some new camera features and perhaps also improve the efficiency and save us some battery. Plus there were also rumours around extra RAM as well. I'm also expecting Apple to add Wi-Fi 6E support finally, and perhaps even a UUB or ultra-wide band chip for faster and more accurate connections. let's talk about these cameras. And the rumor is that the primary lens will have a bit of an upgrade in terms of the aperture, going from f1.8 on the current 14 Pros down to f17, which is not a huge upgrade, but it will allow more light to be let in and hopefully reduce noise and give us a slightly better low light performance, but nothing significantly different. They're still with the same 48 megapixel main lens, which of course was upgraded from the 13S 12 megapixel camera, and still a triple lens setup for the Pros, a bit more exciting than a wider aperture. Though is that the rumoured 15 Pro Max will exclusively get a new periscope telephoto lens, giving us either a 5 or 6 times optical, or from the current 3 times. Because I guess my biggest issue with the iPhone's camera at the moment is the longer range zoom isn't as good as some of its rivals, particularly the Galaxy S23 Ultra. So a long-range zoom would be great. The problem is, though, it's rumoured that it will only be coming to the Pro Max, which is a bit of a shame, and the regular Pro will miss out on that. And also I hope it isn't just a straight switch out from the current 3 times telephoto, because I really like that focal length for taking portraits. If it just goes from a 1 times ultra wide, and then a 5 or 6 times we miss that kind of middle ground, I think that would be ashamed. So my hope will be that they simply add a 4th lens, like we have on here, but I suspect we will stick with 3. And they'll just use various cropping and AI to give us the sort of zooms up to that 5 or 6 times point Apple. May also add a more power-efficient LiDAR sensor, although am I the only one who uses this just for the measuring app? So on paper, these camera hardware upgrades don't seem particularly significant. Slightly wider aperture, a longer range zoom on a top-spec model. But I think what we saw with the recent Fold 5 and Flip 5 from Samsung is, even though that camera hardware was pretty much unchanged from last year's models, what we did see was the improvement with the ISP in their new chip. So that, improved processing dynamic range and detail and all that good stuff. I think we have to see what Apple's Magic can do in terms of the software and the processing. Then we have the dynamic island, and this year it's expected all iPhone 15 SS, including the regular 15 and 15 Plus, will have this dynamic island notch around the selfie, which is currently only on the 14 Pros. Now, some people don't like it, especially as it does take up more screen space than the older notch. But as more apps have started using it, everything from your boarding gate for flights, Uber, your audio waveforms, it's functional. It looks interesting, I really like it, and perhaps for some people who don't care quite as much about the chip or the RAM or the camera megapixels, and more about appearing to have the latest iPhone, that might be a nice aesthetic reason for them to upgrade. So that's the main stuff. But a couple of extras, including new colours. There won't be a new iPhone launch without new colours, and the rumour is that the Pro series will have a new dark blue kind of colour, and the regular 15 and 15 Plus will have a light blue and also maybe a pink model. It has also been rumoured that Apple may actually replace these physical buttons with haptic solid-state buttons, and also an action button to replace this mute switch that said it looks like the haptic volume buttons may have been delayed, but it looks like the new action button may still make it onto the 15, and I would be pretty excited about this. You could use it as a shortcut for the camera or shutter button to launch a particular app. It could even be made context sensitive, so its function changes depending on the app. Either way, the extra usability this provides could turn out to be one of 15 standout features. But it's not all good news. The rumour is Apple will be increasing the prices of the new iPhones. The regular models may stay the same, The Pro and Pro Max may go up between £100 and £200, which would definitely be disappointing. And of course, Apple have acknowledged that fewer people are buying iPhones. It may be a tougher sell to upgrade this year. The other problem is, it sounds like the regular 15 to 15 Plus will still have a 60 Hz refresh rate. Not this 120Hz promotion, which is really annoying, because a high-end phone that costs £600, £700, £800 in 2023 should not have a 60 Hz display. High refresh is not a Pro feature, so I'm hoping that's not true, but it does look like it's going to be the case. Now, speaking of which, we don't know. Everything, of course. This is all speculation. And there are a few things that I hope we do. Also see that we don't know yet, like an improved battery. Because actually the 14 Pro Max that I have here, which I've been using every day, the battery doesn't last as long as my 13 Pro Max. The difference isn't that significant, but actually combined with the fact that after 10 months of use, the battery health on this has gone down from 100 to 91%. I hope we do see a bit of an improvement in the battery. I'd also love to see faster charging, because again, 25 watts just feels a bit slow in 2023. Although we do also need to give Samsung this memo as well. And finally, I'm hoping iOS 17, which will ship on these new iPhone 15s, will be a little bit smoother and less buggy than last year. To be fair, it has got better, but initially, when this launched and over the few months with the 14 series and iOS 16, I definitely did experience a few bugs with this. I think a lot of you guys did as well, so I'm hoping the new software with the new phones will be a smoother experience. But what do you think? Would you be tempted to buy a 15 or 15 Pro based on the room and upgrade so far? Or not? Let me know what you make of it in the comments below. And also make sure you do hit that subscribe button, because I will, of course, bring you my first impressions, full reviews, and tons of comparisons when these do launch in the second half of September. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time right here on the Take Chat. Please like, share and subscribe Tech Trove YouTube channel for more new exciting videos.